I feel like when you have been a streamer for a while, or when I don't know when this started for me, but it's like it alters the way that you think, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that I know that bigger number is better,
Yeah.
right? Like the numbers go up and everybody's happy and you get more money and
Right.
therefore you want the numbers to keep going up. Um, but I think it has kind of tempered my desire for that
Mm-hmm.
as I've seen how those people are treated as well. You
Yeah.
know, like it's also like the more success you have, the more viewership you have, the more everyone's eyes are on everything that you do.
Yeah.
And to me that's also pretty stressful, you know, or I just like I said, I am just purely a video gamer that I just want to get on my computer and play video games and
Yeah.
then I want to turn off my computer and like go do other stuff.
Yeah. Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators to come share their stories, experience, and advice. And today, I am super excited. I have one of the OGs. I have Munition. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So what we do is we get things started with 3 random questions just to get the juices going. Are you ready?
Okay.
All
Ready.
right. Best thing about where you live.
Um the weather,
Okay.
I would say, is number 1. Yeah.
All right. Second question. If you could sit down with anybody in history, who would you like to sit down with and have a coffee with?
That's a tough one, man. That's like you went from what's nice about where you live to like, hello, let us dig into your
Well, you're just
most
so
deep
like
desires.
I think I saw one of your tattoos is based off of an Oscar Wilde book, and another one's off of a
Hmm.
Russian literature. You do music. You're just like, this could be. I'm really interested to see who you say.
I don't know, man. That's tough. I feel like if there was someone that I just wanted to like hang out with,
Yeah.
you know, like not any deep like political,
Right.
whatever, but just like to hang out with, I would love to have been able to meet Freddie Mercury.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd probably be my number 1 that I can think of off the top of my head. But
That was a great movie, by the way. They did on his story.
I didn't watch it.
No, really.
I know I like it's kind of on my list of things that I was gonna like maybe watch. I heard that it was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think when there's things that are like biopics
Yeah.
and like recreations of real situations and real stories, I think I tend to have a bit of hesitation toward content of that type, and
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm like not sure how much of it is going to be faithful to the original versus how much of it's going to be like sensationalized for
Yeah.
media's sake, which distorts kind of the story a bit.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Third question. What was the last book you read or listened to?
Um, so I'm currently listening to um Thrawn Alliances,
Oh, those are
which
good.
yeah, this is probably my third time I think listening to it. It's just
Yep.
easy to have when I walk my dog. I just like listen
Yeah.
to audiobooks. And then I'm also reading um the very first in the new Jedi Order series, um which the title of it is escaping me. Vector Prime.
Yeah. I haven't jumped into that series. I'm just doing the Rogue Squadron book right now. And
Oh,
that's not
nice.
too
Yeah.
bad. And
Yeah, I've always been really big on audiobooks,
yeah.
but the audiobooks for the new Jedi Order series are abridged. And
Okay.
so I'm I have a hatred toward abridged books.
Yeah.
So I'm reading them on my Kindle while I'm
Oh,
listening
okay.
to other things on my audiobooks.
That the one thing I love about the Star Wars audiobooks is the music and the sound effects they have built into it and all the background noises. It just makes it so
Yeah.
much more immersive.
Yeah, it's like I'm like listening to a movie
Yeah.
kind of, but with more detail and
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, have you
Great.
have you read or listened to the Ahsoka one?
Yes, I have.
That was
Mhm.
good. I liked that her story. It was really well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's also a Leia book that was also really well done.
Yeah.
And Leia's like one of my favorite characters outside of the movies. Like
Yeah.
I mean, the movies obviously have their like special place in my heart, but I personally am like a huge fan of the books
Yeah.
even more because there's just so much more content and
Mm-hmm.
you can get so much more into the characters than you can in some of the movies.
Yeah.
And
Ah.
I feel like Leia didn't get explored enough in the movies, so the books are really awesome for
I'll
that.
have to check that one out. Yeah, I loved the Heir to the Empire series,
Hmm.
which they sort of canceled or they sort of shelved that when they, I guess Disney took over and went the whole different way. But I think
Yeah.
Thrawn was introduced there, and I'm glad to see they carried him over
Uh,
because.
this is actually a bust right here of
Oh yeah,
Thrawn,
yeah,
who's my favorite character. Yeah.
ah, yeah,
In like
yeah,
all of Star Wars, he's my favorite character.
yeah. I like the series where it's him and Darth Vader sort of on a mission together and whatnot, and
Yeah, that's what I'm listening to right now.
yeah,
Alliances.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
just it's such a cool story, cool storyline.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right. So, what does a normal day look like for you?
How much detail do you want, or
Oh,
do
well,
you just
just
want like?
an average day. Just you wake up, have some
Uh,
coffee, take the dogs out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I normally wake up probably around like 6:30 or 7. I walk my dog. I have a dog, German Shepherd named Rhea, and then I make breakfast. And then I stream, and I usually stream in the mornings,
Yeah.
for about like 5 hours ish. Um, and then my partner and I will go walk the dog again. Sometimes we play some games off stream.
Yeah.
I'll do other work at my desk or whatever, and we have dinner, and that's kind of it. So
Cool. All right. So, where did video games start for you?
I started playing. I think the first video game I remember playing was Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
For the Super Nintendo. I was 7, and my mom actually owned a store where she sold wedding gowns and like other like bridesmaids
Yeah.
dresses and that kind of stuff. So she had a back room where she would pick us up from school, and then we would just my brother and my sister and I would hang out there, and we would just play and do our homework and stuff while she
Yeah.
was working. And then my first FPS game was GoldenEye,
Yeah.
and that and Turok Dinosaur Hunter were my
Oh
first
God,
FPS
yes.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
And so then, where did the transition from console to PC happen? Was that early or later in life?
that was much later. Yeah, I grew up and in high school was playing a lot of Halo
Yeah.
was a big one for me. Like Halo 2, Halo 3. I actually competed at one of the old school like MLG tournaments, which like we didn't do very well, but
Yeah.
that was a fun experience. And then I went to college. I didn't really play a lot of video games while I was in college because I was working multiple jobs on
Yeah.
top of being a full-time student. Um, and so then when I got out of college, I finally had some like kind of disposable income and I built my first PC right before I kind of started streaming.
Oh, nice. Cool. And now, what did you do before you hit that go live button? What did you do in college and after college?
Um, well, I went to school and got a graphic design degree,
Yeah.
and then I was working at a company doing like UI, UX, and other graphic design stuff for them. But
Yeah.
and then I would watch streams while I was working, and that's kind of how I got introduced to Twitch.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And then over the years, what have been some of your favorite games that stick out for you?
Since I've been streaming,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I've kind of gone through phases
Yeah.
in my stream. I've been streaming for this is going to be my 9th year.
Wow.
And I actually started as a Minecraft streamer. That
No
was
way,
my
really?
yeah, like all I played was Minecraft,
Yeah.
and that was one of the reasons that I started streaming was because I had some coworkers that they were making a modded Minecraft server,
Yeah.
and I had never played Minecraft before, and so I started watching Twitch streamers who were playing modded Minecraft so that I could like understand what it was.
Yeah.
And then I started streaming, so I was only playing Minecraft, and so I went from like the very general overview, which like I've played hundreds of games on my stream
Yeah.
over the year over the years, but it was like Minecraft into Skyrim,
Yeah.
and then Grand Theft Auto 5, H1Z1, PUBG, Rainbow Six, Overwatch. I think I might have flipped those. It might have been Overwatch and then Rainbow Six, but I
Yeah.
can't remember. And then Tarkov have been like the kind of big games
Yeah.
for me over the years.
Okay. Yeah, Minecraft is a special game. Like it's been through our family, my son, we had birthday parties where we had like 8 computers set up around the table and
Cool.
all of his friends and then, a funny story I like to share is, we had my son, his friends playing, some of the parents were playing on, we had a private server going and my son at the time, I think it was like 8 or 9. We had a call from our neighbor. Yeah, there's something about Ethan is my son and Ryan, they blew up Brooke's house, and Brooke is their daughter. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, what? Yeah, so they got some TNT, and
that's
it
funny.
was funny. Minecraft is we had like a Lord of the Flies experience where everything was
Yeah.
so happy at first, and like, oh, do you need this diamond
Yeah.
pickaxe? And then slowly it was like, yeah, Ethan, I think I saw Brooke in your house. And I think she took some stuff. And next, people are building traps,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, it's such a yeah, wild story.
Yeah, Minecraft is really one of those like unique games. It's like just there's nothing like it,
Yeah.
especially when you start getting into modded Minecraft and all the possibilities that are there. It's just there's nothing like Minecraft.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, when it came to streaming, did you back end that with YouTube's content right away, or did the YouTube stuff come a little later?
That came later. And even I feel like that's been one of the main things that I've struggled with as a content creator is like I don't put out consistent YouTube content and I know
Yeah.
that I should. Um, I have been like mega cursed with editors for some reason.
Oh
I don't know
no.
why. I'll like have an editor for like 6 months and then they will get hired by an org.
Yeah.
And so then they don't want to do like content creator stuff anymore. And then I'll have another editor for like 5 months and then they'll start working somewhere else. And
Yeah.
then it's just,
Oh
I
no.
cannot find a consistent person. So
Oh
it's been a
shoot.
struggle.
Well, and with so much going on, it's a tough balance even to try to edit your own stuff. There's not enough
I
time in
used
the
to,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like video editing a lot. But you can't like with how and first it was when I was streaming for 6 hours 8 hours a day and then
Yeah.
I would stay up until like 3 or 4 in the morning editing my own videos.
Yeah.
But that's just not it's not something that you can do for years at a
Right.
time, like you just burn out on that super fast.
Yeah.
So and now it's like I I am just like the worst at this because it's so overwhelming to me how it's like I'm expected to stream for, 6 hours a day,
Yeah.
multiple days a week. I'm also expected to put out YouTube videos, YouTube shorts, Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Instagram reels,
Yeah.
TikTok. Um Twitch is like talking about doing something that might be similar to like shorts or like short form content,
Yeah.
like that. I've got to put up Twitter posts. It's just like I don't know how anyone does that without a team of like 19 people behind
Right.
them.
Yeah.
Um it's just a lot.
It is, and it's so much more. Like people think, oh, you're just playing video games on stream, but it's so much more than that. Like you were just saying, all these things you got to try to balance your brand, your social media pieces of it, and just trying to stay consistent and relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing and for me it's always been tough because I just don't I'm it's funny because I mean maybe it's not funny, but just like not in a I'm not a person who really enjoys social media in general.
Yeah,
Um and then I just kind of walked myself into a job where it like relies on social media and
yeah,
I mean like before I started streaming, I didn't even use Twitter. I
yeah,
barely used Instagram. I still don't really use it. I don't even I have a TikTok account and I have an editor who posts videos. I don't
yeah,
have TikTok on my phone. I don't look at it. So
yeah,
I it's one of my big weaknesses, I think,
yeah.
as a content creator. As a human being, it's probably good for me, to not use social media as much, but
Yes.
it's just tough for your job when it requires it.
Well, yeah, like you said, you're a content creator. You've got to be on these things, and it's like, oh God,
Yeah.
I don't want to go on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even like using my phone very much other than to um, listen to audiobooks and
yeah,
message my family and that's kind of it.
yeah. Oh
So
shoot. And now, since you've been doing this for so long, what have been some of the hardest things about being a content creator for you?
Um, well, that's the big one,
Yeah.
and I talked about this recently because TwitchCon was just in October.
Yeah.
Um, and this was the first TwitchCon that I really felt out of place. I've been to every NA-based TwitchCon since they started, since the
Yeah.
very first one. And I think because we had like 2 years where there wasn't a TwitchCon due to COVID,
Yeah.
the and Twitch as a website, as a service, like blew up in that time.
Right.
But it also changed a lot. And I think it's gone a lot from video game based content to kind of everything,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in the way that's like, I know that sometimes people will be like, oh, this website used to be about video games and now it's hot tubs and whatever.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that we get a huge variety of content now. And I like that it's not just video gaming stuff, even though like I'm primarily a video gamer. Like I just want to get on my computer and play video
Yeah.
games and that's it. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but I've seen the shift from video games into like IRL content.
Right.
And I think a lot of being a successful content creator these days is not only being an entertaining person on stream, but it's also who you know. It's
Yeah.
really turned into who you know and who you can be friends with, and who you can collaborate with.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it very hard for people to kind of, I mean, it's like really impossible now to break into streaming. It's
Yeah.
very difficult, like very, very difficult. And that's been tough for me because and I talked about this. Do you know Dr. K?
It's funny you
He
bring that
does,
up. So I
yeah,
had Veritas on the pod a while ago, and we were talking about, a big part of his pod was talking about the mental health aspect of being a content
yeah.
creator. And he told me about your video, and he said it was one of the best videos he'd ever seen. So I watched it. I was like, holy crap, this is, did you know what you were getting into when you hopped on that video?
No, I mean, I knew, obviously what type of content he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people that they said, I watched your video with Dr. K and a lot of that resonated with me. Um, which is great, but it also like if you watch the video, the whole point is like, great. So you feel the same way. I feel the same way. There's lots of people who feel the same way, but literally nothing changes. Like we all still have the same struggles with like our interpersonal
Yeah.
relations with each other, and with streaming that's really really complicated. And I run into the situation a lot where I go to parties and I go to events with people who are the upper echelon of Twitch and YouTube content creators and like
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and they know who I am, and I feel like I consistently have this experience where they respect me because they know that I'm someone who has been around for a long time,
Yeah.
but we're not friends really. Like
Yeah.
they're friendly with me, but I'm not the person that they come to like hang out with,
Yeah.
And I think going back to your question, that's one of the things that I've really struggled with as a streamer is that when, like, for example, Fortnite started to get really popular when they added their battle royale.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's careers were kind of kickstarted by Fortnite.
Yeah.
I hate Fortnite. I don't like it. It's not it's not a fun game for me to play.
Yeah.
And I will not sit here for 6 hours a day and force myself to try and create content around a game that I don't like.
Right.
Same thing happened with Among Us. Among Us was huge and
Yeah.
it was really good for people like collaborating. And I was like, I know that it would be good for me to try to get into these like lobbies with people to
Yeah.
try and play Among Us because that's where all the viewership is right now. But I hate it. It's so boring and you're all just yelling at each other and lying and it's just like
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't feel like I'm playing a video game,
Yeah.
It's like this weird kind of point and click adventure that's not really that engaging to
Yeah.
me personally. And so that's been one of the things that I've really struggled with is like I just don't get into the same games that seem to be really wildly popular on Twitch.
Yep.
Valorant. I couldn't get into Valorant. I tried. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And I think probably my career and my life would have taken a different trajectory if I was good at forcing myself to do that or if I was just genuinely interested in those
Yeah.
games. But I just I'm just not. So.
But your advantage right now is because you've put in those years, you have your community around you. You don't have to jump in and play those games. You can play games that you enjoy, and people can enjoy watching you have fun on stream.
Yes and no. I think that there is like I have a consistent group of people that I can count on who will be there, most days when I'm streaming.
Yeah.
But in order to try to grow, um, I think you sometimes do have to step outside of your comfort zone a little
Yeah.
bit, and I don't know. I've just really struggled to do that, and the thing is for me is that I'm fine with kind of maintaining where I am. I
Mm-hmm.
think the idea of just like constant growth is like I don't know how you can maintain that, like just
Yeah.
constantly growing your channel, constant. Like it has to plateau at some point, and I
Yeah.
think you have to kind of be happy with what you have. And I mean, yeah, I think I'm kind of in this weird balance between I want to try to do more to grow,
Yeah.
but I also am kind of happy with where I am
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons. That
There's
Go
nothing
ahead.
wrong with that though. That's like, people who have that 9 to 5 job.
Yeah,
They get that position, they work to a point where they're comfortable. I like, a work life balance is good for them. And that's where they stay until they can retire or whatnot. So, like you said, you getting that constant growth, like you said, you plateau. But as long as you're happy in that plateau and you're able to sustain what you're doing and be happy, that's important.
yeah, yeah. I think for me, the past like 3 years, especially, has been a lot of um, trying to figure out what makes my mental health the best
Yeah,
because it's different for everyone.
yeah,
Not everybody's going to have the same path to finding what's going to make them comfortable. And sometimes, I have that. I feel like when you have been a streamer for a while, or when, I don't know when this started for me, but it's like it alters the way that you think, kind of,
hmm,
in the way that I know that bigger number is better,
yeah,
right? Like the numbers go up and everybody's happy and you get more money and
right,
therefore you want the numbers to keep going up. Um, but I think it has kind of tempered my desire for that
hmm,
as I've seen how those people are treated as well.
yeah,
Like it's also like the more success you have, the more viewership you have, the more everyone's eyes are on everything that you do.
yeah,
And to me that's also pretty stressful, or I just like I said, I am just purely a video gamer that I just want to get on my computer and play video games and
yeah,
then I want to turn off my computer and like go do other stuff.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's a tough thing because, like you said, you just want to play video games, but there's so much more you got to do around it to maintain
Yeah.
that level, and it's a tough thing, especially for people trying to break into it or start out. The discoverability, making sure they're everywhere, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and things like
Yeah.
that. It's not an easy thing to jump into.
No. No, and especially when like so many people are trying to do it as
Yeah,
well now.
yeah.
So
And now, let's, happy place. Let's, what have been some of your highlights since I saw that on your promo reel, you were on stage with Tony Hawk. That was like, that's
yeah,
so
that was
cool.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, he's like one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And I mean, who among us did not grow up playing Tony Hawk Pro
Oh,
Skater,
yeah.
Like that's so yeah, I was really excited when they asked me if I would do the introduction for him.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Um and yeah, I mean, I got to go to the White House, which
No
was
way.
wild. Yeah, they were doing a promotion while Obama was still in office for the Affordable Care Act. They
Yeah.
were trying to get like young kids to kind of understand what that was, and so they brought like some video gamers
Yeah.
to the White House. So that was cool. That was my first time going to Washington D.C. Um, I got to meet Michelle Obama, which
Holy
was very
cow.
cool. Yeah, she does this like event to bring attention to kids that are like going to college or like encouraging them to go to
Yeah.
college and like pursue higher education. So it was like me and Ninja,
Oh,
and then some
wow.
like Twitch staff that went. Um, and yeah, that was really cool. And then of course I met my partner, who I've been with now for 4 years, five
Yeah.
years, going on 5 years, through Rainbow Six.
Oh,
So,
no way.
and that was only the only reason. Like we talk about this all the time, where I'm like, the only reason that we met is because I went to a tournament in Paris that I
Yeah.
would have, if I weren't a streamer, I would have never gone to that, and we would have never met.
Oh, no
So
way.
yeah.
Oh, so you actually, is she from Paris or from France?
She's from France,
Yeah.
and she coaches the one of the professional Rainbow Six teams.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So at the time, she was, I think, an analyst for
Mm-hmm.
one of the teams that was at the Rainbow Six Major in
Yeah.
Paris.
Oh, that's so
So
cool. It's crazy how time,
yeah.
things just, things come together and it's just like, oh yeah, you're here, she's there, and that's so awesome.
Right. Yeah, and how easily like our paths could have just never crossed.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So
Oh, that's so cool. And
yeah.
now, what has been, if somebody's going to jump into the space for the first time, or they're ready to make that move into full time, what advice would you have for them? And it can't be don't do it.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know,
Yeah.
because it's changed so much. You know, it's easy to be like, okay, if you want to start streaming, you want to have a consistent schedule, you want to do this, you want to do that, but like it's so hard now with how many people there are that want to be streamers,
Yeah.
that I don't know what, like I don't know what the good advice is anymore, because it's just there's so many people. I think probably the main thing would be to try it because you think that you would enjoy it, and to
Yeah.
see if you actually enjoy it, and not to just be like, I'm gonna become a famous content creator, I'm
Right.
gonna be the next Shroud. And um because that's how most of us got into it, was just because we were like, this seems like it would be fun. Like for me, I was just like, I don't know, I'm gonna play Minecraft and I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk to people at the same time, and that sounds fun
Yeah.
for my evenings. And then it kind of spiraled out of control. So um
And
so yeah.
how hard was it for you to, so Minecraft was your main game, or even back
Mhm.
then, was there such a thing as a main game, or a lot of content creators just sort of playing everything?
There was definitely like main games. Like I think Lyric at that point was doing a lot of the like Arma, um, RP and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And how hard was it for you to make that first jump into a different game out of your comfort zone of Minecraft?
I think it's more difficult now.
Yeah.
But back then it was just kind of like I was just, most of the time when I would switch from like one main game to playing another one, I would
Hmm.
tell people, we're gonna start the stream with my main the game that you expect me to play, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch halfway through. Um, and I mean, even then, you would still lose people because they just don't feel like watching a certain thing.
Yeah.
So that's always been tough.
Yeah, like, I think I agree with what you say about, today it's even more tougher for, main gamers to switch over. And we saw that with the last
Yeah.
Tarkov wipe. It died, dropped so rapidly that you had a lot of Tarkov content creators, going out of their comfort zone and playing Fortnite, playing other things. And it was good to see, because I think it helped a lot of them sort of, get over that shock of trying something new, and seeing that they could survive by not just playing Tarkov.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good to have some diversity in your schedule, just not only for your stream but also just, for your mental health. It's good to, I took most of the last wipe off. I barely even
Yeah.
played it at all. I wasn't having fun.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to play other stuff. I know that I'm going to take a hit to my viewership,
Yeah.
but I can't do this every day because it's not good for my brain.
No, not good for your brain, and nobody wants to nobody wants to watch somebody who's not having fun or not enjoying
Yeah.
themselves. It's
Right.
there's so many other people playing games or whatnot that you have if you're a new streamer trying to get those new viewers, and somebody pops in, you're not having fun, they're gone in 5 seconds or 10
Yeah.
seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So now, since you've been doing this for long, what was your Twitch partner story? Today, it seems like the how to get partners different than the early years.
Yeah. Um
Like, was it a big thing
trying
for
to.
you when you got that, Twitch partner, or was it just like it's just a
I
lot of
think it happened really fast
yeah.
for me. It was like I think I got partnered in like a couple
Oh
months after I
wow.
started streaming. Yeah, because back then it was like they just handed them out like candy, you
Yeah.
know. Um, Now it's obviously way harder because back then they didn't have like the requirements and things that they have
Yeah.
today. They kind of it was a much smaller company, and so they were just like, oh, this person seems like a good streamer, so let's just give them partner.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went full time about a year after that, I
Oh
think.
wow. And now when you
So
jumped to full time, was it a gradual sort of progression, or was it like you hit a couple of milestones like I could do this full time?
yeah, so my sister is a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And so she is much smarter than me and is just very good with finance stuff, which I generally am not. Um, but I kind of got to the point where I knew I could maintain what I had. Like I could pay all my bills and I could also save.
Yeah.
And when I told my family that I was thinking of quitting my full time job to just only stream and to just stream, because at the time I was working full time and I would stream like 3 hours in the
Yeah.
evening after work. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to stream like 8 hours a day instead. Um, and right now I'm basically like, I have my full time income, which is this much, and
Yeah.
then I have my streaming income, which is this much.
Yeah.
So if I have just a little bit more, and then I just keep dedicating to that one thing. Um, and my mom really encouraged me to go for it. She's always been very supportive.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, if you want to, when you make this transition, you can live with me rent free for like a year
Yeah.
and just, dedicate to that. So I had a really supportive family for that whole
Yeah.
situation too.
Oh,
So it
very
worked out
cool.
really well.
And that's a common theme I hear from the successful people who are doing this full time is a great support structure around them, whether it's their spouse or their family.
Yeah.
It's really because they're able to focus on being that content creator and not worry about the other stuff, and it just lets them be successful. It helps.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with anyone in any type of job, having support is obviously, there's a reason that it's called support,
Yeah.
and I was really fortunate then and now as well that because it's an ever changing job and there's always kind of new hurdles to experience and to figure out how to deal with
Yeah.
um
And
yeah.
that's something that is kind of unique for what you do is like what is the next 3 years going to be looking like for you? Long-term planning.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to try to forecast.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been like that since I started. I mean, I've always been like, I don't know what the next year is going to be like.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a plan. I'm just kind of going with it and going
Yeah.
with the flow and doing this as long as I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And as long as it's, having what feels like a positive, and like a net positive impact on
Yeah.
my life, then I'm just going to keep going for it. And one day I will just disappear from the internet
Oh, no.
and I'll be on a farm in Montana with livestock and horses and you'll just never see me again. So
Yeah. Oh my god.
that's my retirement plan. I'll
That's
just be
not a
gone.
bad retirement plan, Get away from
Yeah.
people and just, have animals around you and enjoy nature.
Yep.
Oh shoot. Now, do you like the colder weather? Being from
No.
California? No.
No, I don't. I don't know why I said Montana. That's not a good idea for me.
Oh shoot.
I'm Southern California, like born and raised. And, yeah.
So now back to that Dr. K, the healthy gamer video that you were on. So how did that come about? Because it was just like, where did that come from?
They just asked me, if I wanted to be on for an episode, and they asked, what kind of stuff that would you want to talk about?
Yeah.
And so I mentioned that, like the kind of struggles of being a streamer and establishing friendships is probably something that a lot of people identify with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't really have any idea where the conversation was going to go or anything like that.
Because it to me it turned into like a full-on therapy session is what it seemed like. I was like, and I thought it was like so good of you to just be open and honest and just throw it out there. And I thought it was a really good video to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad that it I feel like I still occasionally will get people who come to my chat and they're like, I just watched that video, that was really um it resonated with me,
Yeah.
and I'm like glad to have seen someone else, feels like that. And yeah, I mean that's kind of always been my thing, is just honesty.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
So
And now when you got off, you're like, holy shit, that was a crazy video or a crazy session, or you're just like, yeah, it was cool.
it was more the latter, where I was just like, that was, I mean, I don't feel like I had any like life altering
Yeah.
revelation. It was just, this is what I'm going through, this is kind of what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And
It was
I
good
don't
that
know, I mean,
good to hear that, because I think sometimes it gets not shunned upon, but just not, it doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think it's a good thing to get out there and get people comfortable talking about things like that.
yeah. Yeah, it's hard to talk about. And I think it's just good to admit, out loud that,
Yep.
like, I struggle to make friends, and a lot of people do. And
Yep.
especially like the older you get, the harder it is, because
Yep.
when you're in high school and college, you're around peers all the time. You're
Mm-hmm.
around people of your same age and everything. And even if you work in an office, you go to the office, you have coworkers and people that you're around. But when you're a streamer, like, I go from my bedroom to my office,
Yeah.
and I don't have coworkers. I don't have people that are around me. And I do have, the people that I'm talking to in chat, but it's not the same.
Right.
um it's not the same as like having a human connection with someone, where you can go out somewhere and have dinner or drinks or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can talk to them about um your job, without it being, this is okay. So I have this like concept, I guess, in my mind, which I think I read about somewhere, but I would not be able to tell you the source of it, so maybe someone watching will know.
Yeah.
But it's basically like, if you picture a circle, and all the people that are involved with streaming, for example, are
Mm-hmm.
inside of that circle. So that's going to include your viewers, people that you play with, your who are like kind of your peers, but they
Yeah.
are part of that. And then outside of that circle is going to be people who are not involved at all with streaming. So this would be people who are friends who don't watch Twitch,
Yeah.
right? So they're outside the circle. So if you want to vent or like complain about your job, which is inside the circle, you can't do it to any of those people in that circle, because they're all directly affected by what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you want to complain to the people that are outside the circle. But if you don't have people that are outside that circle, who do you talk to about it?
Right.
I can't go to the people that I play games with every day. And I mean, like, there are some things, of course, that you can talk to them about, if
Yeah.
you want to complain about, viewers or whatever, they're going to understand that. Um, but I think you have to be careful about, what you say to people who are
Yeah.
your peers. You
Right.
don't want to step on anyone's toes, or like, if you got annoyed with someone, the way that they did something, you can't complain to them about it, really.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to have someone who's a complete like third party outside of the situation, who will have more of an objective view on it,
Right.
rather than being, in it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something, I had, when I talked to Veritas was about, is like, you're there, if you don't play with other content creators or other peers, and you're 8 hours, 10 hours just talking to chat, you don't have that human interaction, and over time that's
yeah,
just not healthy. But then,
yeah,
when I talked to Deadly or Markstrom, they had their marksman team, which was exactly what you talked about. They had, they were a small group of friends with Cotton and Katie and Monster D Face, that they would, vent to each other. That was that group that they could vent to, peers who would
right,
understand. And, like you said, you had people outside the circle who they don't understand the struggles that a content creator go to, but at least having that small group of that team that they had was very helpful for them to, and for them, they're still doing it today for years later, and I think
yeah,
it was a good thing for them to have.
yeah. I still think that it's like really good for you to have someone who doesn't know what streaming is, to weigh in on, is someone that you trust,
Yeah.
if they can weigh in on interpersonal conflicts, because they have a different because they don't know anything about streaming, they'll have a different perspective on what's kind of a healthy reaction or
Yeah.
not to something, which I think that a lot of times and I find myself doing this where I will forget sometimes that I'm not on the internet all the
Yeah.
time, and it's like you can't have the same reaction toward someone in person that you might have toward someone when you're on the internet. And if you
Right.
spend all your time on the internet, you forget, like
Yeah.
this is not an appropriate human interaction with, someone who's not on the internet.
Yeah.
So I think having that outside is really healthy.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's talk video games a little bit. Going
Cool.
too deep on on life and whatnot. So, Rainbow Six for you. So, how did you get hooked into that?
I actually started playing it because it was a company that was working with Ubisoft that wanted to do like sponsors
Yeah.
for they wanted to sponsor people to play Rainbow Six, and I was like, I've never played this game before. I played Vegas
Yeah.
many years ago, but
That's a
not for
different
very
beast
long.
altogether.
Yeah, and so they were like, I told them, I'm gonna be terrible because I don't know what I'm doing, and they were like, that's fine, we want people, of all skill levels to kind of show, you know, new players how to get into the game and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, and yeah, I was terrible. I was very bad. I tried to knife the hostage repeatedly, and yeah. So, but
And
it was fun, and it took off from there.
and now what about 6, hooked you into, putting so many hours later into it?
Um, in some ways, it's a lot like Tarkov in that there's always more to learn, and I think both games have like you can outplay people by simply having more experience and knowledge than them, and by your experience you can know where people are coming from, and um that was something that drew me in because I could feel that I was learning more, and the more that I learned, the more I could outplay my opponents,
Okay.
and
And,
that kind of feeling is addictive.
and was that your first jump into any type of tactical shooter?
Mostly yes. I
Yeah.
think that was my first, like the longest I've spent in like a first person shooter, besides on console. So
Okay. And now, over the years, do you still go back once in a while to play Rainbow Six again?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, occasionally. I think the big reason that I don't play it as much right now as I used to is um it's that I used to be able to jump on Rainbow Six and there was just like a full list of people that were playing that you
Yeah.
could easily find like a stack of 5 people to play with. And now people have kind of moved on, and even if I still want to play, I struggle to find a group of people to play with, and it's not a game that I want to play with any less than like 3 people.
Yeah.
So, I think I'll need to like find people and plan in advance in order to play.
Yeah, because it's not a game you want to play with randoms.
No, no, and even if you play just solo or with two, there's like for people who haven't played, there's like map banning and operator banning and that kind of stuff. You're voting on stuff, and so if you don't have the majority, it can
Yeah.
be kind of frustrating. So I think you really have to have a majority of people that are going to be in your group with you
Yeah.
to play Rainbow Six.
Now, do you think is there anything that they could add to, get more people to come back and play?
I'm not sure at this point. I mean, Rainbow Six they're going on year 8 now,
Yeah.
which is a very long time for, an
Oh,
FPS
yeah.
game like that. Um, and I don't think it's a matter of like adding more content to draw in more people. I
Yeah.
think that kind of like that ship has kind of sailed. I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
think, at this point people are just kind of tired of it. I think the only thing really that would bring back like a huge, huge amount of people would be if they made like, a sequel to Rainbow Six and
Yeah.
they just like redid something with like a whole new engine or something like that that would
Yeah.
really modernize it. Because as far as like the gameplay and stuff right now, I think the game in general is in a really good spot,
Yeah.
except for dealing with cheaters, which every game has.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't think they can just like add more operators and now people are gonna suddenly want to play
Yeah.
Siege again.
Okay. And now, where did Tarkov fall into that mix of Rainbow Six? Did you leave? Did you find Tarkov, shortly after Rainbow Six, and that sort of was the one that sucked you in?
So I was always watching Lupo play
Yeah.
while I was just like working at my desk or whatever. I had no idea what he was doing. He goes through the menus so fast that I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what any of this is, but I just enjoyed, having it up in the background.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did a charity stream where the final incentive was if we raise, I think it was like $50,000, then I will try Tarkov, because people kept telling me, you might like Tarkov, you should
Yeah.
try it. And I was just like, I don't want to learn a whole new game. It's complicated.
Yeah.
I've watched people play it. I understand that it's a complicated game. And so we hit the charity incentive. And so I did start playing Tarkov. And Lupo was one of the first people who helped me learn how to play Sigma.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a spot every time. There's a spot in the interchange garage where when she was Sherping me, she laid down because she had to go like do something, and she was
Yeah.
like, I'll be right back. So she left me alone, and I was walking around, and I came back and I said, oh, there's a guy right here. And I shot her in the head while she was laying down and she was
Yeah.
AFK. And I realized afterward, and she came back and she was like, oh, I'm dead. And I was like,
Uh-oh.
Whoops, my bad. So and now every time I pass that spot in the garage, I have this like cold wave of just like shame that I remember that moment that poor Sigma was just, she was
Oh.
like, I'm just gonna Sherpa you, but I guess you'll just shoot me in the head while I'm AFK.
Oh,
Okay.
shoot. Yeah, she was one of the first streamers I saw play the game, and it was just like, and actually I just dropped a pod with Gingy earlier this week, and she shared a similar story of how Sigma was, Sherping her in the game, and it's just like, there's so many good people in the Tarkov community, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that was also one of the things that drew me in, was like the willingness of other people to kind of help you along.
Yeah.
They weren't just like, I don't know, figure it out and get good, nerd. They
Yeah.
were really like, hey, do you want some help with your tasks? What can we do for you?
Yeah.
So
And now what was, after that, few games with Sigma and Lupo, what was the hook Tarkov had on you?
it was the same as I mentioned with Siege,
Yeah.
where it was like, the more I learn, the better I can be against other people. And that feeling of like, when you win one of those fights and you know that you won because you just outthought your opponent, that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
About both those games.
Oh, cool. And now, since you've played so many games on stream over years and been in, have had the different communities come through, what are some of the communities that you've like are fond of, or just have been welcoming? Tarkov, I assume, is one of those.
Yeah, I think probably. I mean, so when I first started streaming, and a lot of my OG viewers came from because I was playing Minecraft.
Right.
And back then, I feel like the user base of Twitch was much older.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a niche thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's like the OG Minecraft viewers are pretty great. The current Minecraft viewers are pretty young, and so it can be kind of a different experience that is not super great.
Yeah.
And then I think Tarkov has kind of stood out to me more, like I said, with people that are just, they want to be helpful, and it can be, it can be toxic, but I think the fact that the player base is older,
Exactly.
is at that. And also Hell Let Loose.
Yeah.
Those guys are so hardcore about that game, and they're also like super helpful. Like one of my first games of Hell Let Loose, I mean, you can tell that I was a new player. I don't know what's going on, but I know see enemy, point click, you know, like that's the base thing that you need for that. And one of the guys that was like my squad leader or whatever was like, nice job, you're doing great. It's just like, I don't know, I'm just pointing and clicking, guys. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that's not an easy game to jump into either. You're just like, what do I do? And it's large maps and whatnot. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now for you, what were some of the harder things to learn about Tarkov? It is a huge learning curve to jump into, and you have no manuals, or you just got to rely on a Pastilli video or things like that.
Yeah, I think the gun modding was the biggest thing for me, because I avoided the edit preset menu as long as I possibly could.
Yeah.
When I first got started, and when I first started playing, it was very overwhelming. Chat was doing their best to be helpful, but it was really stressful because there's like a billion items in Tarkov.
Yeah.
And you don't know what any of them are. And so it was like you're just walking around opening toolbox and there's just like a pile of some random ass bolts and chat is like, pick that up, you need that, that's really important. And you're just like, okay, I got it. And
Yeah.
then it's like you kill a you're a level 4, you kill a scab that has a half mask, and they're like, oh, you're gonna need 7 of those, you know, or 5 of those for
Yeah.
a task in like 40 levels. And you're just like, where am I supposed to put all this crap? You guys want me to pick up every little thing?
Yeah.
Because people have been playing the game for years and they know
Yeah.
you're gonna need that, you know, brown handled knife. You should hold on to those. Just like,
Oh, yeah,
it's too much
absolutely.
stuff.
It is a lot of stuff to go into. And now, once you got the grasp of it, did you enjoy playing Tarkov more solo or, with the team?
I really only play like with other people. I know that there's the kind of the debate over, you know, playing solo versus playing with other people. I do think that, you know, people like Willers and Landmark, you know, they play solo and
Yeah.
they absolutely frag out. And they're great. I love watching both of them.
Yeah.
Um I am not that I'm not that good at Tarkov, you know. I really enjoy Tarkov and I have my moments, but I much prefer the fact that I can like walk around with my friends. You
Yeah.
know, I play a lot with Baz and Magpie and Ames and Lupo, and it's nice to just be able to like shoot the shit with them
Yeah.
in the kind of quiet moments. Um, so it's like the social aspect of it that I really enjoy, and
Yeah.
I don't care if that makes me like less of a hardcore Tarkov player. I just want to have fun with people, and
Exactly. And I think
that's it.
that's a really unique thing that I've seen with Tarkov is like you just mentioned, Baz, Ames, Lupo, and everybody sort of plays, it doesn't matter if you're, a low number streamer count, high, it's just a really cool
Yeah,
thing to see.
yeah, yeah. I think there's like a really like a core group of Tarkov streamers, at least that I'm close with, that they're all just, I mean, everybody just wants to hang out and
Yeah.
like have fun. And I'm not trying to be world best Tarkov player, you know. I'm not trying to be like the best solo
Yeah.
player or whatever. I do agree that Tarkov is harder for solo players, but I just want to play with my friends.
Right.
So
Nothing wrong with that. And you have a streamer item in the game.
I do, yeah. It's funny because they added it last wipe and I barely played last wipe. Like, thanks guys, see you later.
Yeah. Now, how did that come about? Did they say, "Hey, what would you like?" Or here's our
Yeah,
idea?
they asked me, you know, do you if you were gonna have like a streamer item, you know, what would it be? And I gave them like 3 different ideas.
Yeah.
And then they went with the Bear Buddy.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
And do you have any other games that you have some sort of like, an ammunition hook into?
Yeah, I have something in Dauntless, which I did not play a whole lot.
Yeah.
I have a flag in Rocket League, and I have my logo is one of the gun charms in Rainbow Six.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, and if Overwatch wants to do, you know, like a Mythic Pharah skin featuring your girl Ammunition, that'd be pretty sick because I play a lot of Overwatch, but they don't
Awesome.
have like streamer items
Yeah.
in Overwatch.
Okay. And now you last wipe when things sort of slowed down, you came up with Tarkov Recess, which was I thought that was so much
Yeah.
fun to watch. Where did that come from?
I just wanted to like make my own fun in Tarkov,
Yeah.
and now they've expanded a lot of the co-op options, and so I'll probably want to throw one of those together again.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of coordination, and I'm kind of lazy, so I'm trying to figure out, you know, when to do that. But now they've added a lot of options, so that should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, I wanted to play Tarkov with my friends and have it be a bit more lighthearted and kind of goofy rather
Yeah.
than so, you know, it's very serious. It's a very
Yes.
serious game, so I just
Oh,
wanted to kind of have fun with it.
cool. Yeah, that was fun to watch. Love those videos.
Yeah.
Now, how would you describe the ammunition community?
They're just a bunch of nerds. um I think because I think, you know, your community is kind of a reflection of the person streaming, and not that you're responsible for all of them, you know, I can't control
Right.
how people behave, but I think that they are a reflection of me and that a lot of them just like playing video games, you
Yeah.
know. There's a wide variety people on different types of gamers, but I think in general it's very video game focused,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Oh, cool. And now something I've seen since I jumped into this whole podcast thing and Tarkov a couple of years ago is the amount of charity that is done by content creators, gamers, is really cool. Like I
Yeah.
think you were part of the GCX.
Yeah, I think I've done that twice,
Yeah,
maybe.
and the amount of money that's raised for like St. Jude's, it's just across the board. I think
Yeah.
it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that as a PR statement for people who are less fond of video games in general,
Yeah,
and also just because, it's good for the world for us to help each other.
absolutely. Yeah, totally. And then I saw the this past TwitchCon, like you said, you were there, and it looked. I watched your summary video, and it looked like you had a packed schedule. Did you have any
Yeah.
moments where you like had some fun at least?
Yeah, I actually organized a private dinner
Yeah,
with a big group of mostly Tarkov people
yeah,
and some other friends, and that was really cool just to have like a quiet dinner with, a core group.
yeah,
And yeah, TwitchCon is just it was a lot.
yeah,
That experience was a bit eye-opening for me of just how much the community has changed.
yeah.
And I think the rumor now is the next one's going to be in Vegas, and I've already started telling people I'm not going if it's in Vegas.
Oh
I
God.
hate Vegas so much. It's
Oh.
the worst.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. It's good for 2 days or 3 days. I've had some conventions there, and it's just like
Yeah.
after that, you just want to get back to reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really just a monument to everything that I hate.
yeah,
So I go there sometimes for like concerts.
yeah,
Like my partner and I went to see Lady Gaga
yeah,
when she had her residency. We went twice actually because she really loves Lady Gaga.
yeah,
And that was awesome. But it was like I wanted to be able to teleport to the concert and then
yeah,
just to teleport away. Like I just don't want to experience the rest of the strip at all.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and as I get older, I don't want to be around crowds. I just want to, I don't want to deal with that. I just
yeah.
want to go do my thing, and that's it. Yeah. Wait till you get older, Ann.
Yeah.
The
Oh, I've been
Montana's
like
gonna
that
look
since I
good.
was probably like 15, I think. So it's just
Uh,
I've never really enjoyed that, and I mean, it's like I'm not interested in gambling.
yeah,
I'm a person who goes to clubs or bars.
yeah,
So it really just, Vegas doesn't have a whole lot for me.
yeah. It was mind blowing. Like I walked by and there was some lady dropping $1,000 coins in a slot machine. I just, I don't. Yeah,
No.
no, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yep. So now, outside of TwitchCon and streaming and everything like that, I see you've got a guitar back there, you've got a keyboard. I've listened to some of your music. There's some good songs there. We're gonna see maybe a
Thank you.
collaborative between you and Nikita, maybe. So
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I used to do a lot more music than I do recently. Now with streaming, it's really just hard to find time for
yeah,
like anything else pretty much. That's always been tough. So I have my like music stuff here with all the best intentions of actually using it, but it's tough finding time for it.
now what did you learn first? What instruments did you learn first to play?
Well, I mean, my family had a piano at home ever since I remembered. My
Yeah,
mom had like a baby grand piano. And so I don't know if it counts, but I just like, would kind of mess around on it.
yeah.
I took piano lessons for a little while, um, with a very interesting woman who lived in what I'm pretty sure was a haunted house.
Oh no.
And yeah, I remember she had it was like one of those old Victorian style houses in the Midwest.
Yeah,
And yeah, she was a character. So I did that. I took singing lessons for a little while. I didn't really like that. I liked
yeah,
singing, but I just didn't like the lessons. And then guitar came a bit later.
yeah.
So
And where does your musical taste fall into? What are some of your sort of favorite musicians or bands, or is it like across the board?
Tool
Oh, okay, yeah,
is probably my favorite band of all time. I listen to a lot of mostly metal or like progressive um stuff. So recently I've been listening to Haken. I listen to a lot of Deftones. Seen them in concert a few
yeah,
times. Um, Pink Floyd is another big one for me. But I also listen to kind of everything.
yeah.
I'm a big Beyonce fan,
Yeah.
so there's
Cool.
that.
Any of what concerts? Any favorite concerts that stick out in your mind? It's like, wow, that was one of the better ones.
Um, well, seeing so I appreciate Lady Gaga as a musician. I don't
Yeah.
love her as much as my partner does, or
Yeah.
I didn't anyway. And then when I went to the concert, I think I became kind of a convert.
Yeah.
You know, she's singing a lot more of like jazz standards and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing rather than her normal pop music.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not big on pop in general, so that was kind of eye opening for me, and that was a really cool concert.
Oh, cool.
Um, I've seen Beyonce a couple times. That was really cool. And then I saw Tool recently, like 2 years ago. I want to say. I
Yeah.
don't know. Time is an illusion. And that was awesome to see them in person. It was pretty much the Danny Carey show, which was fine by me
Yeah.
because that guy's awesome. So
Nice. And now all of us have this, this band or this musician that we sort of found recently that like we want other people to know about. Do you have any that like people should like, yeah, this group is pretty cool.
um well, if you like metal and you haven't listened to Haken, they're like a good one.
Yeah.
They have this album called The Mountain, which is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. And other than that, I listen to a lot of like instrumental stuff while I'm working. So
Yeah.
there's this guitar player named Nick Johnston. He has an album called Remarkably Human, which is one of my favorite albums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been listening to a lot of Era recently, which I know probably a lot of Tarkov people especially are going to be familiar with because I think they are featured in some streamers
Yeah.
like music playlists. And then I have a weird affinity for like Norse music.
Oh, okay.
So Wardruna and Heilung and Solulo are a couple that are some of my favorites.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Speaking of instrumental, so as I think we talked earlier about Star Wars, Star Wars was big in my house. I have a son. When he was like 7, he would do battles and he would have his iPhone with Spotify playing the Star Wars music in the background while he's doing his battles. Like, oh, that's genius. I wish I had
Yeah,
that when I was younger. But yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. But speaking of Star Wars, what was your, entry point to Star Wars? Was it the movies, TV shows, or video games?
I think it was probably the original trilogy when I was a kid, which is funny because I think I'm like the only one in my family who's actually watched all the movies.
Oh
I
no.
am pretty sure that I don't know why I just like I mean, I've always liked, sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
The Expanse is one of my favorite series. Both the show is really good, but the books are also fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I've always been like interested in like space sci-fi stuff. I know that people prefer to call Star Wars more of like a space odyssey, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that, space opera. But yeah, so I think I watched the movies when I was really little, and then I played, of course, like Knights of the Old Republic
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff when I was younger. And the books are a more recent kind of discovery for me. I
Mm-hmm.
would say maybe within the last like 6 or 7 years I
Yeah.
started, and then once I started listening to the audiobooks and like reading the books, I just got super addicted. So
Yeah. Yeah. The Clone Wars series was really good from an animation standpoint. I think that was, some of the best stuff they've done. What was your take on Rogue One? I always like to get people's opinion of
Rogue
Rogue
One
One.
is the best Star Wars movie of all time.
Absolutely. That's I 100%.
Yeah.
It is so good. It just
Yeah.
the thing I really liked about it was like halfway through it or 3/4 of the way through, I was like, holy crap, nobody is going to survive this. And it was just
It was great.
yeah. And that
Yeah, like
last
I love the original trilogy. Like it's
Mhm.
always gonna have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
The newer trilogy, I guess the prequel trilogy, um, that definitely had its highlights. Duel of the Fates on Mustafar between that whole lightsaber battle that was
Yeah.
really sick. Darth Maul, of course, was really cool.
Yeah.
The new trilogy had it is one of the movies of all time. It exists, but Rogue One was just something else.
Yeah.
Rogue One and Andor also.
Yes.
Andor was phenomenal.
Oh, 100%.
It was so
agree.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boba Fett let me down though. That series. There was just some
I haven't
moments
watched
in that.
it.
There's
I have some vindication on that one because when they announced they were going to make a Boba Fett TV show, I was just like, who cares about Boba Fett? And I know that like people love this
oh,
character because he's
absolutely,
got like
yeah.
the cool helmet, you know,
The
and like
rocket in the back, yeah.
he's got the ship is cool and like whatever. But like if you think about his entire saga in the original trilogy is
Yep,
him falling into a Sarlacc pit.
yep.
That's it. That's all he does. And so I've always thought that that character was so overhyped
Yeah,
for no reason other than being like a Mandalorian, which like the Mandalorians are really cool.
right.
The actual Mandalorian show was
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. You know,
Yes.
I liked it.
Yep.
But I didn't even watch the Boba Fett show, and then people were talking about how it wasn't very good. However, Obi-Wan was also trash, and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's a cool character. So,
Yep.
I think it's just Disney that it's just
Yep. Well, at least
not
they
doing
hit it
Star
out of
Wars
the park
justice.
with Andor. At least that was
Yeah.
that was really good.
I'm hoping for more of that. I hope that they realize how successful that was, and I'm nervous for Ahsoka because I know that they're probably going to be bringing in Thrawn,
Yeah.
and he is hands down my favorite character in the entire series.
Yeah.
And if they fuck it up, I'm gonna be really mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be
Well,
pissed.
in the last three movies, there was just some moments that were like, Space Leia scene was just like where she's like floating, like there was just some cringe
Yeah.
moments there.
So like that, I feel like wasn't handled very well, but I also think that it was kind of stupid for people to be like, you know, how did she do that? Because they've had that in the past where they can use the Force to like
Right.
survive in space. But the way that they filmed it, I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
As an avid Star Wars book reader, I was also pretty annoyed at how much of it they basically came in and were like, this part of Star Wars is not canon anymore. But
Right.
we're gonna take ideas from it and put it in our movies. And I was
Yeah.
just like, then just make those movies instead of being like, we're just gonna rip pieces out of it and then put it in here, even though it doesn't make any sense because we just ignored the rest of it.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked. It was basically just, I mean, they rehashed the original trilogy. It was
Yeah.
the I liked Rey's character a lot, but at the end when the old woman is like, "Who are you?" and she's like, "I'm Rey," and the lady's like, "Rey what?" Like why would some old woman in the desert be like, "What is your first and last name,
Right.
stranger?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Rey Skywalker," and like looks into the distance. I'm like, "Shut up." That was horrible. I don't know why anyone thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. There's some head scratching moments, but like you were saying about the canon, like Mara Jade was a really good character. I don't know if you got into her, and then
She's just my love, yes.
she
I
doesn't
know. It's like
exist.
Thrawn and Mara Jade are like my two favorite characters.
Exactly, yeah.
She's such a good character. She's such an interesting story.
Right. Yeah.
And they're just like, no, she doesn't exist. And then the confusing thing to me too, I don't understand. So in the books, Leia and Luke have Jaina, Jason,
Yes.
and Anakin. They
Yep.
have their three kids.
Yeah.
And then Mara and Luke have Ben.
Yes.
Ben Skywalker. So why did you take the same name from the books and apply it to Luke and Leia's kid in the movies? You
Yep.
couldn't have picked a different name? That was so weird to me.
Yeah.
Like that was just the height of like them not having any imagination of their own where
Yeah.
they're like, "Ben, that's a nice name. We'll just give it." Like what?
Yeah.
It was weird.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
I completely forgot about the twins, the Jason and Jaina. That was
Yeah,
God.
that's the series that I'm reading right now. It's
Yeah.
is Jaina
Oh, man.
and Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, they just there's some moments I just don't get. But anyway, so any big plans for this year? Any trips coming up?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna be going to Montreal.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
For the Rainbow Six Invitational. And then other than that, I really don't know. I'm a homebody. I like being at home. I like
Yeah.
my routine. And I had a really tough December for my partner and I, we went to France to
Yeah.
visit her family for Christmas. I got extremely sick on
no.
Christmas Eve, and had to travel home just in like pain. I was suffering. It was really bad. So I'm happy to just be at home right now,
Yeah.
and I'm not really looking forward to traveling. I'm looking forward to seeing my partner again since she's in Montreal right now. But
Okay.
I just, so any chance that I get to stay home, I usually take it. So
So now how long is she up in Montreal for?
she's been there for about a week.
Yeah.
They're doing like the group stage of the tournament right now. And then it goes through the 20th.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, so it's almost for the whole time she'll be there for about 3 weeks.
It's a long haul to be away.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this time, I mean, you know, I'm supposed to be going there next week, so at least then, you know. But then we're both not home, and we have a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
So they stay with my sister while we're gone.
Oh, to give you an idea of how big Star Wars is in this family. So years ago, I had 2 cats, Luke and Leia. We had a dog, Obi. That's just
Cute.
yeah. So yeah, I'm old, so I remember going to the drive-in in '77, seeing the first Star Wars, and that
That's
was
cool.
yeah. So it's big in this house. So
Yeah.
any sponsors you want to give a shout out to that have been there for you over the years?
Yeah, well, I think right now my only sponsor is Logitech.
Yeah.
I was with a different peripheral company for many years,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make the switch to Logitech because I just generally preferred their products. They
Yeah.
have their like partnership with Herman Miller, which was a big deciding factor for me too, because we spent a lot of time sitting.
Yes.
And I mean, technically this is kind of an ad, but like I'm not actually sponsored by Herman Miller. It's just that I freaking love my I know they're so expensive. Like they're gonna cost you your firstborn, but it saved my lower back. I was having like crazy back pains before I switched. So
yeah, with the amount of
yeah.
sitting that you do, you know, it's
Yeah.
you need to have a good chair, and you can't go wrong with a Herman Miller, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It was really
Yeah.
nice meeting you. Before you go though, the tradition on Tarducks, we're hitting our this is I think will be like 80th episode, is to call out somebody in your circle that you think has a good story that should come on.
Well, I think you've done podcasts with Baz already,
and Ames.
and Ames.
Yeah.
What about Mags? Miss Magpie?
Mags, I have. So you got to twist her arm because a couple of people have suggested her. So I don't know if she's nervous or whatnot, but we may need some.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
But just let her know that it's been pretty painless and it's easy going.
Yeah.
All right, Mags, you've been called out by Ann.
Yeah, and others apparently.
Yes.
But I can imagine maybe it's nerve-wracking sometimes to be on something like this. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it wasn't too painful.
No. I'm comfortable with it, but cool. Not for everyone.
Yep. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.